So following the recent speed test between the Galaxy S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max, I'm back with a comprehensive battery showdown. This time I tossed the S23 Ultra into the mix, giving all three phones a run for their money in a laid-back battery test. Basically, I kept the phone screens on non-stop until they tapped out. Let's see which one's the true battery champ. Both the S24 Ultra and the S23 Ultra have the same 5000 mAh battery, but the iPhone 15 Pro Max has a smaller 4441 mAh cell. But on the other hand, both Samsung phones have a higher display resolution, so that kinda levels the playing field. So after 2 hours of Instagram usage, both the S24 Ultra and the 15 Pro Max are at 92%, while the S23 Ultra is at 89%. I chose to use everyday apps to replicate a real-world scenario rather than relying on benchmarks, making the test more challenging and reflective of daily usage patterns. So after another 2-hour YouTube music session, the S24 Ultra takes the lead with 84% remaining, followed by the iPhone at 82% and 78% on the S23 Ultra. Interesting to note that in the past, Galaxy phones used to kinda trail behind iPhones when it came to battery life. Why? Chip manufacturing. Samsung used to make their own chips and also the Snapdragon chips. Now Apple's chips, those were made by TSMC. Turns out TSMC made chips had the upper hand in battery life and heat management. So guess what? Qualcomm decided to jump on the TSMC bandwagon, and boom, last year's Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 showed massive improvements, better performance, longer battery life, and cooler temperatures. Now the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 on the S24 Ultra, yep, you guessed it, also rocking the TSMC manufacturing, so it's an even playing field. So after another 2 hours of playing 4K HDR video on YouTube, the S24 Ultra continues to lead with 71% battery remaining, followed by 64% on the iPhone and 62% on the S23 Ultra. Quick heads up, Samsung's got a sweet pre-order deal for the S24 Ultra. Use my link for $150 of free Samsung credit, a free storage upgrade up to $750 off with trade-in, and a 15% educational discount. It's an exclusive offer, the link is in the description. Now let's move on to the gaming session. Interestingly, the S24 Ultra features Wi-Fi 7, which is not only faster but also more efficient than the Wi-Fi 6E on both the 15 Pro Max and the S23 Ultra. I'm not really sure if that's making a difference here, considering I don't have a Wi-Fi 7 router, but it's something to keep in mind. So after 2 hours of gaming session, we're at 49% on the S24 Ultra, 36% on the 15 Pro Max, and 39% on the S23 Ultra. Now it does seem though at this point that S24 Ultra is gonna beat the S23 Ultra despite the same battery capacity. Anyway, almost 3 additional hours of browser testing left the S24 Ultra at 28%, 15 Pro Max at 12%, and the S23 Ultra at 13%. To wrap things up, I recorded 4K 60 FPS video until the phones ran out of battery. So after nearly 13 hours of an exhausting battery test, the S24 Ultra emerged as the phone with the best battery life among this pack, boasting an impressive screen time of 12 hours and 41 minutes. The iPhone 15 Pro Max came second with 12 hours and 16 minutes, and just 4 minutes behind is the S23 Ultra with a screen time of 12 hours and 12 minutes. Interestingly, the last time I did the battery test a few months ago, the S23 Ultra had a 3-minute better battery life than the 15 Pro Max. I guess this can be attributed to a margin of error. What I'm surprised though is with the battery life on the S24 Ultra. Since it's a new phone, it takes a few days for it to learn my usage pattern, and usually the battery life increases once it does. But despite that, I'm already seeing a better battery life than the S23 Ultra, not only in this test, but also in my personal usage. I've been using the phone for 3 days now, and I can certainly feel an improvement in battery life. Samsung's claim of a 15% improvement in battery life on the S24 Ultra compared to its predecessor, despite featuring the same 5000 mAh cell, aligns with these results. Now you might ask, what about the heat? Well, I didn't have a tool to measure the heat, but I had the next best thing, which was my fingers. And surprisingly, the S24 Ultra was the hottest among the three, with the S23 Ultra being the coolest. Although not significantly hot, the S24 Ultra was slightly warmer than the 15 Pro Max and the S23 Ultra. Hopefully they fix it with a future update, and I'm positive they will. Now, I've made a speed test between the S24 Ultra and the 15 Pro Max, which you can find here, and I'll see you there.